Hello all. Today we will discuss chapter 4, India on the eve of British conquest. India on the eve of British conquest. Okay, we will discuss the subtopics like challenges before the Mughals, external challenges, weak rulers after Aurangzeb, and internal challenge. Causes of decline of Mughal Empire, such as shifting allegiance of zamindars, jagirdari crisis, rise of regional aspirations, economic and administrative problems. Then rise of regional states, survey of regional kingdoms, nature and limitations of regional states. Then socio-economic conditions such as agriculture, trade and industry, status of education, societal setup, developments in art, architecture, and culture. Summary. Boxes. Why many empire shaking battles at Panipat? Causes of Mughals' downfall in a nutshell. Okay. Okay. India, chapter 4, India on the eve of British conquest. The first half of the 18th century saw the decline of the mighty Mughals, who had been the envy of their contemporaries for almost 2 centuries. The reign of Aurangzeb, which started from 1658 and lasted till 1707, proved to signify the beginning of the end of the Mughal rule in India. It is argued that Aurangzeb's misguided policies weakened the stability of the state, and the decline gained momentum after his death due to wars of succession and weak rulers. So, Muhammad Shah ruled for a long spell of 29 years from 1719 to 1748. A revival of the imperial fortunes did not take place as he was incompetent ruler. Muhammad Shah's reign witnessed the establishment of independent states of Hyderabad, Bengal, Awadh, and Punjab. Several local chiefs began to assert their independence, and the Marathas began to make their bid to inherit the imperial mantle. Challenges before the Mughals. External challenges. In the absence of internal strength, the Mughals could not put a tough front against the external challenges, which came in the form of several invasions from the northwest. The northwestern borders had been neglected by the later Mughals, and not much effort was expended in protecting the border. Nadir Shah, the Persian emperor, attacked India in 1738 to 39, conquered Lahore, and defeated the Mughal army at Karnal on February 13, 1739. Later, Muhammad Shah was captured and Delhi was looted and devastated. According to an estimate, apart from the Peacock throne and Kohinoor diamond, 70 crore rupees were collected from the official treasury and the safes of the rich nobles. Nadir Shah gained the strategically important Mughal territory to the west of the Indus, including Kabul. Thus, India once again became vulnerable to the attacks from the northwest. View. Nadir Shah was Mughal emperor for only 57 days in 1739, but those days created aftershocks that transformed India's politics. They broke existing centers of authority, massively shrinking the scope of Mughal power. They set loose bands of mounted warriors who ransacked the countryside, seeking wealth from villages and towns. They pushed traders behind the walls of whichever power had the strongest force. For a short period, plunder rather than negotiation became the most effective tool for creating new centers of wealth. Those 57 days laid the ground which allowed the East India Company to conquer territory in India for the first time. John Wilson, India conquered. Okay, Ahmad Shah Abdali or Ahmad Shah Durrani, who was elected the successor of Nadir Shah after the latter's death in 1747, invaded India several times between 1748 and 1767. He continuously harassed the Mughals, who tried to buy peace in 1751 to 52 by ceding Punjab to him. In 1757, Abdali captured Delhi and left behind an Afghan caretaker to watch over the Mughal emperor. Before his return, Abdali had recognized Alamgir II as the Mughal emperor and Rohilla chief Najib ud Dawla as Mir Bakshi of the empire, who was to act as personal supreme agent of Abdali. In 1758, Najib ud Dawla was expelled from Delhi by the Maratha chief Raghunath Rao, who also captured Punjab. In 1759, Ahmad Shah Abdali returned to India to take revenge on the Marathas. In 1761, Abdali defeated the Marathas in the Third Battle of Panipat. The last of Abdali's invasion came in 1767. Okay. Why many empire-shaking battles at Panipat? Why many empire-shaking battles at Panipat? Panipat and its adjacent region, located in present Haryana, on the banks of Yamuna and between the fertile plains of Ganga and Indus rivers, have witnessed several battles. These battles changed the course of Indian history at different points of time. The first battle of Panipat in 1526 was between Babur and Ibrahim Lodi. The result of the battle laid the foundation of the Mughal Empire by ending the rule of Delhi Sultanate. The second battle of Panipat in 1556 was between Akbar and Hemu. It decided in favor of the continuation of Mughal rule. The third battle of Panipat in 1761. ഏകദേശം 200 വർഷങ്ങൾക്കടുത്ത്. Okay. Between the Marathas and the Ahmad Shah Abdali put an end to the Maratha ambition ruling over India. Why Panipat was a favorite battlefield? Panipat had a strategic location. One of the parties of the war generally came from north or northwest through the Khyber Pass to get hold over Delhi, the political capital of northern India. To move a military through rough terrains, deserts of Rajasthan or the other northern areas infested with dense forests was very risky and difficult. On the other hand, the rulers at Delhi considered Panipat as confrontable strategic ground and hence they preferred to take the fight there. Its proximity to Delhi made it easier for the Indian rulers to transport weapons, military and food supplies, etc., to the battleground and still keep the capital insulated from the conflict at hand. Panipat's surrounding region has a flat ground which was suitable for cavalry movement, the main mode of warfare at that time. After the construction of Grand Trunk Road by Sher Shah Suri, 1540 to 45, Panipat was on this route. It became easier for conquerors to find their way there. The duration of monsoon rainfall in the region is short in comparison to other areas, making it easier to fight. The artisans or smiths of these regions were experts in making warfare-related materials, and hence it became easier for forces of both parties to replenish their war materials. Okay, weak rulers after Aurangzeb, an internal challenge. First one was Bahadur Shah I, ruled 1707 to 1712. After a nearly 2-year-long war of succession, the 63-year-old Prince Muazzam, the eldest son of Aurangzeb, became the emperor, taking the title Bahadur Shah. He was later called Bahadur Shah I. He had killed his brothers Muhammad Azam and Kam Baksh in the war of succession. Kafi Khan gave the title of Shah-e-Bekabar to Bahadur Shah. He adopted a pacific policy with the Marathas, the Rajputs, and the Jats. Shahu, the Maratha prince, was released from the Mughal captivity, and the Rajput chiefs were confirmed in their respective states. However, the Sikh leader Banda Bahadur attacked the Muslims in Punjab, and hence the emperor took action against him. Bahadur Shah first died in February 1712. Okay. Next is Jahandar Shah, ruled 1712 to 1713. With the help of Zulfikar Khan, Jahandar Shah became the emperor. Zulfikar Khan was appointed as prime minister. He introduced Izara system to improve the financial condition of the empire. Okay. Jahandar Shah introduced Izara system. Jahandar Shah, who introduced Izara system? It was introduced by Jahandar Shah. Jahandar Shah abolished jizya. Farooq Siyar ruled 1713 to 1719. After killing Jahandar Shah with the help of Sayyid brothers, Abdullah Khan and Hussein Ali, known as kingmakers, Farrukhsiyar became the new emperor. He followed a policy of religious tolerance by abolishing jizya and pilgrimage tax. In 1717, he gave farmans to the British. In 1719, Sayyid brothers, with the help of Peshawar Balaji Vishwanath, dethroned Farrukhsiyar. Later, he was blinded and killed. It was the first time in the Mughal history that an emperor was killed by his nobles, and it was Farrukhsiyar. Okay, next one is Rafi Ud Darajat, ruled February 28 to June 26, 1719. He ruled for the shortest period among the Mughals. View. He, Bahadur Shah I, was the last emperor of whom anything favorable can be said. Henceforth, the rapid and complete abasement and practical dissolution of the empire are typified in the incapacity and political insignificance of its sovereigns. Sidney Owen. Okay, next one is Rafi Ud Dawla, ruled June 6 to September 1719. The Sayyid brothers placed Rafi Ud Dawla with the title Shah Jahan II. So, who is known as Shah Jahan II? It was known as Rafi Ud Dawla. Okay, Shah Jahan II on the throne. The new emperor was an opium addict. Okay, next is Muhammad Shah, ruled 1719 to 1748. After the death of Rafi Ud Dawla, Raushan Akhtar became the choice of the Sayyid brothers. Muhammad Shah, as he became known to as he came to be known in history, was given the title of Rangila due to his luxurious lifestyle. So, who is known as Rangila? Muhammad Shah. Muhammad Shah is known as Rangila. Muhammad Shah, with the help of Nizamul Mulk, killed the Sayyid brothers. In 1724, Nizamul Mulk became the Wazir and founded the independent state of Hyderabad in 1724. In 1737, Bajirao I, the Maratha Peshwa, invaded Delhi with a small army of 500 horsemen. In 1739, Nadir Shah defeated the Mughals in Battle of Karnal and later imprisoned Muhammad Shah and annexed areas west of the Indus into the Persian Empire. Next one is Ahmad Shah Bahadur, ruled 1748 to 1754. Ahmad Shah was an incompetent ruler who left the state affairs in the hands of Udham Bai, the Queen Mother. Udham Bai, given the title of Qibla-e-Alam, was a lady of poor intellect who ruled with the help of her paramour, Javid Khan, a notorious eunuch. Alamgir II. Next one is Alamgir II, ruled 1754 to 1759. Alamgir II was a son of Emperor Jahandar Shah. Ahmad Shah Abdali, the Iranian invader, reached Delhi in January 1757. During his reign, Battle of Plassey was fought in June 1757. Alamgir II was assassinated. Next one is Shah Jahan III. Shah Jahan III ruled 1759 to 60, also known as Muhi-ul-Millat. Muhi-ul-Millat. He was placed on the throne as a result of the intrigues in Delhi, but was later deposed through Maratha intervention. Next one is Shah Alam II, ruled October 1760 to July 1788. October 1788 to November 1806. His reign saw two decisive battles. The Third Battle of Panipat 1761 and Battle of Buxar 1764. In 1760, 5. According to the terms of Treaty of Allahabad, August 1765, he was taken under the East India Company's protection and resided at Allahabad. He also issued a firman granting to the company in perpetuity the Diwani, the right to collect revenue of Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. In 1772, the Marathas took him to Delhi, where he lived till 1803. In 1803, he again accepted the protection of the English after the defeat of Daulat Rao Scindia by the English. Afterwards, the Mughal emperor became the pensioner of the English. Next one is Akbar Shah, ruled 1806 to 37. He gave the title of Raja to Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Akbar Shah II gave the title of Raja to Ram Mohan Roy. During his regime in 1835, the English East India Company discontinued calling itself subject of the Mughal emperor and stopped issuing coins in the name of Mughal emperor. Next one is Bahadur Shah II, ruled 1837 to 57, 20 years. Okay. Bahadur Shah II or Bahadur Shah Safar, Safar being his surname, was the last Mughal emperor. The revolt of 1857 had made a futile attempt to declare him the emperor of India. He was captured by the English and sent to Rangoon, where he died in 1862. In legal terms, the Mughal Empire came to an end on November 1, 1858, with the declaration of Queen Victoria. Okay, next one is causes of decline of the Mughal Empire. Causes of decline of the Mughal Empire. Why the Mughal Empire declined has been a subject of debate among historians. Scholarly opinion can be divided among two broad lines: those who view the matter as generally empire related and those who regard the developments as region related. The empire related or Mughal centric view sees the causes of the decline within the structure and functioning of the empire itself. The region related view finds the causes of Mughal decline in the turmoil and instability in the different parts of the empire. The decline was due to both aspects. The process of disintegration of the Mughal empire began during the reign of Aurangzeb, but it picked up momentum only after his death in 1707. At his death, conditions were not such that the process of decline could not be checked. Although Mughal authority was challenged by several chiefs and rulers, none could assert independence in the face of the imperial might. The Sikhs, Marathas, and Rajputs did not possess the capacity to overthrow the empire. They merely resisted Mughal power to gain and keep their independence in their respective territories. Thus, if the successors of Aurangzeb had been capable rulers, the empire might not have fallen. Most of the emperors who came after Aurangzeb proved to be incapable, weak, and licentious monarchs who hastened the process of disintegration of the empire and finally its collapse. The major factors which contributed to the downfall of the Mughal Empire are discussed below. First one is the shifting allegiance of zamindars. Two classes shared the power of the state with the emperor during the medieval period: the zamindars and the nobles. The zamindars were hereditary owners of their lands who enjoyed certain privileges on hereditary basis and were variously known as Rais, Rajas, Thakurs, Kuts, and Deshmukhs. They occupied an important place in the empire because they helped in the collection of revenue and local administration, for which they maintained soldiers. Though the Mughals had tried to curb the power of zamindars and maintain direct contact with the peasants, they had not wholly succeeded. During this reign of Aurangzeb itself, there was a marked increase in the power and influence of the zamindars. The biggest fallout of this was that regional loyalties were encouraged. Many local zamindars helped the nobility, the other powerful class within the empire, to take advantages of the weakness of the empire and carve out independent kingdoms for themselves. Second reason is Jagidari crisis. The nobility comprised people who were either assigned large jagirs and mansabs or appointed subedars of Mughal subas and given the responsibility of maintaining these. To this class may belonged many Rajput rulers, Subedas, and Mansabdas. Mughal rule has often been defined as a role of the nobility because these nobles played a central role in administering the empire. Although Akbar had provided well-knit organization for them, there was divisiveness among the nobility on the basis of religion, homeland, and tribe, and each category formed a group of its own. Mutual rivalry, jealousy, and contest for power among the various groups during the rule of the later Mughals, in the absence of a strong central leadership, not only reduced the prestige of the emperor but also contributed to the decline of the empire. Okay. Views. The roots of the disintegration of the Mughal Empire may be found in the medieval Indian economy. The stagnation of trade, industry, and scientific development within the limits of that economy, the growing financial crisis, which took the form of a crisis of the Jagirdari system and affected every branch of state activity, the inability of the nobility to realize in the circumstances that their ambitions in the service of state, and consequently the struggle of factions and the bid of ambitious nobles for independent dominion, the inability of the Mughal emperors to accommodate the Marathas and to adjust their claims within the framework of the Mughal Empire, and the consequent breakdown of the attempt to create a composite ruling class in India, and the impact of all these developments on politics at the court and the country and in the country and upon the security of the northwestern passes. Individual failings and faults of character also played their due role, but they have necessarily to be seen against the background of these deeper, more impersonal factors. Okay, various explanations are put forward for the revolts which brought about the collapse of the Mughal Empire. Here, our main concern is with what our 17th and early 18th century authorities have to say, and it will be seen that they, at any rate, put the greatest store by the economic and administrative causes of the upheaval and know little of religious reaction or national consciousness. Thus was the Mughal Empire destroyed. No new order was or could be created by the forces ranged against it. The more I study the period, the more I am convinced that military inefficiency was the principal, if not the sole, causes of that empire's final collapse. All other defects and weaknesses were as nothing in comparison with this. Long before it disappeared, it had lost all military energy at the center and was ready to crumble to pieces at the first touch. The rude hand of no Persian or Afghan conqueror, no Nadir, no Ahmad Abdali, the genius of no European adventurer, a duplex or a Clive was needed to precipitate it into the abyss. The empire of the Mughals was already doomed before any of these had appeared on the scene and had never been heard of. There can be little doubt that some Maratha Bandit or Sikh freebooter would in due time have seated himself on the throne of Akbar and Shah Jahan, William Irwin. A common impression is that the decline fall of the Mughal Empire were due to degeneracy of its sovereigns, but it was irretrievably ruined in the reign of Aurangzeb, a monarch of great ability, energy, and determination, but lacking in political insight and a bigoted Muslim. He struck the first mortal blow by reversing Akbar's wise and generous policy of ignoring distinctions of race and religion and reimposing jizya or poll tax on his Hindu subjects, whereby he estranged them and turned the noblest and most warlike of them, the Rajputs, hitherto the staunchest supporters of the throne into deadly and persistent enemies. And Shivaji and his followers not only vindicated their independence but struck a second mortal blow at the integrity of the empire. They destroyed its military reputation, they exhausted its accumulated treasure. They spread disorder and devastation over the Deccan and beyond it. They established an imperium in Imperio. Thus, the empire, though not dissolved, was hopelessly debilitated. The effective authority of the central government was henceforth in abeyance. Nadir Shah, after inflicting the extremity of humiliation on the emperor and his capital, annexed the imperial territory west on the Indus. The dissolution of the empire was complete. Sydney Owen. The Mughal Empire and with it the Maratha overlordship of Hindustan fell because of the rottenness at the core of Indian society. The rottenness showed itself in the form of military and political helplessness. The country could not defend itself. Royalty was hopelessly depraved or imbecile. The nobles were selfish and short sighted. Corruption, inefficiency, and treachery disgraced all branches of the public service. In the midst of this decay and confusion, our literature, art, and even true religion had perished. Jain Sarkar. Okay. Rise of regional aspirations. Aurangzeb's reign itself witnessed rebellions by regional groups like the Jats, Sikhs, and Marathas. They defied the authority of the Mughal state in their bid to create kingdoms of their own. They did not succeed in their efforts, but they influenced the future course of political events in their respective regions. Their continuous struggle against the empire for political ascendancy weakened the empire considerably. Aurangzeb and after him Bahadur Shah won by attempting to suppress the Rajputs, spurred them to battle against the Mughals. The later Mughals made an effort to follow a policy of reconciliation with the Rajputs, but by then it was already too late. The Rajputs no longer trusted the Mughals enough to ally with them for the welfare of the empire. The Marathas too were becoming a formidable enemy. Their aim was at first limited only to regaining control over the region of Maharashtra. But it soon went on to include getting legal sanction from the Mughal emperor for collecting Sadesh, Mugi, and South throughout India. They forged northwards and by 1740 succeeded in spreading their influence over the provinces of Gujarat, Malwa, and Bundelkhand. The Rajput struggle against the empire and the growing ambition and power of the Marathas thus adversely affected the Mughal might. Next reason is economic and administrative problems. The number of amirs and their ranks or mansabs had increased sharply over time. There was little land left to be distributed among them as jagirs. Aurangzeb tried to solve the problem of acute shortage of jagirs or Bejagiri by showing enhanced income from the jagirs on record. But this was a short sighted measure as the amirs tried to recover the recorded income from their jagirs by pressurizing the peasantry. So both amirs and the peasantry were antagonized. Then there were the wars, the luxurious lifestyles of the emperors and amirs alike, and the reduction of Khalisa land, all of which burdened the state. The result was that the expenditure of state much exceeded its income. There was, moreover, no significant scientific and technological advance that could have improved a stagnant economy. The once flourishing trade did not enrich the empire's coffers, even as even as the inroads by European traders grew along coastal India. These economic and administrative problems only multiplied following the death of Aurangzeb. The empire had become too vast to be efficiently administered. by a centralized system when the rulers were weak and incompetent. Rise of regional states. The states that emerged as a result of the decline of Mughal Empire can be classified into following three broad categories: successor states, independent kingdoms, the new states. Successor states. These were the Mughal provinces that turned into states after breaking away from the empire. Though they did not challenge the sovereignty of the Mughal empire, Mughal ruler, the establishment of virtually independent and hereditary authority by their governors showed the emergence of autonomous polity in these territories. Some examples are Awadh, Bengal, and Hyderabad. So successor states are Awadh, Bengal, and Hyderabad, ABH. Independent kingdoms. These states came into existence primarily due to the destabilization of Mughal control over the provinces. Examples being Mysore and Rajput states. So independent states are Mysore and Rajput states. Third one is the new states. These were the states that set up by the rebels against the Mughal Empire. Examples being the Maratha, Sikh, and the Jat states. New states are Maratha, Sikh, and Jat states. Survey of regional kingdoms. Hyderabad. The founder of Asaf Jah House of Hyderabad was Kilich Khan. The founder of Asaf Jah House of Hyderabad was Kilich Khan, popularly known as Nizamul Mulk. It was Zulfikar Khan who had first conceived the idea of an independent state in the Deccan. But with his death in 1713, the dream remained unfulfilled. Kilich Khan, disgusted with the Mughal emperor, who had appointed Mubarak Khan as a full-fledged viceroy of the Deccan, decided to fight Mubarak Khan. He defeated and later killed Mubarak Khan in the Battle of Shakkar Kheda. He now assumed control of the Deccan. In 1725, he became the viceroy and conferred on himself the title of Asaf Jah. Asaf Jah. Okay. Mubarak Khan. Mubarak Khan. Asaf Jah. Okay. Next is Awadh. The founder of the independent principality of Awadh was Sadat Khan, popularly known as Burhan ul Mulk. Sadat Khan was a Shia. He had joined in a conspiracy against the Said brothers, which resulted in his being given an increased mansab. Later driven out of the court, he was prompted to found a new independent state. Sadat Khan committed suicide due to pressure from Nadir Shah, who was demanding a huge booty from him. He was succeeded by Safdar Jung as the Nawab of Awadh. Next is Bengal. Murshid Ghuli Khan was the founder of the independent state of Bengal. He was capable ruler and made Bengal a prosperous state. He was succeeded in 1727 by his son Shujauddin. His successor Sarfraz Khan was killed in 1740 by Alivardi Khan, the deputy governor of Bihar at Geria, who assumed power and made himself independent of the Mughal emperor by giving yearly tribute. The Rajputs. The Rajputs tried to re-establish their independence in the 18th century. This forced the Mughal ruler Bahadur Shah I to march against Ajit Singh 1708, who had formed an alliance with Jai Singh II and Durgadas Rathore. But the alliance was broken and the situation was saved for the Mughals. At one time, the Rajputs controlled the entire territory, extending from the south of Delhi up to the west coast. Next is Mysore. Another important state to make its appearance in the 18th century was that of Mysore. This territory, located at the junction of the eastern and western Ghats, was ruled by the Wadayars. Various powers interested in this territory turned the area into a constant battlefield. In the end, Mysore state was brought under the rule of Hyder Ali, who ruled the state but not without trouble. He was involved in constant warfare with the British and so was his son Tipu Sultan. Next is Kerala. Marthandavarma established an independent state of Kerala with Travancore as his capital. He extended the boundaries of his state from Kanyakumari to Cochin. He made efforts to organize his army along the Western model and adopted various measures to develop his state. The Jats, the agriculturalist Jat settlers living around Delhi, Mathura, and Agra revolted against the oppressive policies of Aurangzeb. The first major rebellion by the Jats against Mughal imperial forces occurred in Mathura district in 1669. It was led by Gokula. It was not successful. After some initial setbacks, Churaman and Badan Singh succeeded in setting up the Jat kingdom of Bharatpur in the 18th century, but it was under Suraj Mal that Jat power reached its zenith. He not only provided an efficient system of administration but also greatly extended the territory of the state. His state included territories from Ganga in the east to Chambal in the south and included the Subhas of Agra, Mathura, Meerut, and Aligarh. However, the Jat state suffered a decline after the death of Suraj Mal in 1763. Thereafter, the state split into small areas controlled by petty zamindars who mainly lived by plunder. The Sikhs in 1675, Aurangzeb arrested and executed the ninth Sikh Guru, Guru Tegh Bahadur, who had refused to embrace Islam. According to Sikh tradition, the Guru had supported the rights of Kashmiri Pandits and protected them against persecution by the Mughals. Guru Gobind Singh, who succeeded Guru Tegh Bahadur, openly rebelled against Aurangzeb. He transformed the Sikhs into a militant sect in the defense of their religion and liberties. Banda Bahadur, who later assumed the leadership of the Sikhs in 1708, was defeated and killed. In the wake of invasions of Nadir Shah and Ahmad Shah Abdali, the Sikhs once again asserted their authority. At this stage, they organized themselves into 12 missils or confederacies, which exercised control over different parts of the kingdom. The credit for establishing a strong kingdom of Punjab goes to Ranjit Singh. He was the son of Mahen Singh, the leader of the Sukar Chakia missile. Sukar Chakia missile. Ranjit Singh brought under the control the area extending from Satluj to Jhelum. He conquered Lahore in 1799 and Amritsar in 1802. By the Treaty of Amritsar with the British, Ranjit Singh acknowledged the British right over the Cis Satluj territories. Ranjit Singh proved to be an efficient administrator. He greatly modernized his army with the help of Europeans. But towards the close of his reign, English forced him to sign the tripartite treaty in 1838 with Shah Shuja and the English company, whereby he agreed to provide passage to British troops through Punjab with a view to placing Shah Shuja on the throne of Kabul. Ranjit Singh died in 1839. His successors could not keep the state intact, and soon enough, the British took control over it. Next is the Marathas, perhaps the most formidable province to emerge was that of the Marathas. Under the capable leadership of the Peshawars, the Marathas uprooted the Mughal authority from Malwa and Gujarat and established their rule. At one time, they claimed the right to be the chief inheritors of the Mughal dominion, but their authority was challenged by Ahmad Shah Abdali in the Third Battle of Panipat, 1761. The Marathas quickly recovered from the defeat and offered the most formidable challenge to the East India Company in the struggle for political supremacy in India. Next is the Rohilkhand and Farrukhabad. The states of Rohilkhand and the Kingdom of Bangash Pathans were a fallout of the Afghan migration into India. Large-scale immigration of Afghans into India took place in the mid 18th century because of political and economic turmoil in Afghanistan. Ali Muhammad Khan took advantage of the collapse of authority in North India following Nadir Shah's invasion to set up a petty kingdom, Rohilkhand. This was the area of the Himalayan foothills between Kumaon in the north and the Ganga in the south. The Rohillas, as the inhabitants of Rohilkhand were known, suffered heavily at the hands of other powers in the area, the Jats, the Awadh rulers, and later the Marathas and the British. Muhammad Khan Bangash, an Afghan, set up an independent kingdom to the east of Delhi in the area around Farrukhabad during the reigns of Farrukhsiyar and Muhammad Shah. Next is nature and limitations of regional states. The independent political systems that emerged in the provinces continued to maintain ties with the Mughal imperial authority and acknowledge the emperor's importance as an umbrella. Even rebel chieftains of the Marathas and Sikhs recognized the Mughal emperor as the supreme authority. The polity that emerged in these states was regional in character and functional with the collaborative support of the different local groups like the zamindars, merchants, local nobles, and chieftains. The provincial rulers had to take care of these various local interests in order to maintain themselves. Of course, there were exceptions. For instance, in Mysore, rulers did not recognize the local chieftains. With the regional states had certain limitations. The provincial rulers failed to develop a system based on sound financial, administrative, and military organization. Though some of them tried to modernize, notably Mysore. On the whole, they were backward in science and technology. Another drawback was the constant warfare these states had with the neighboring regional powers, wars in which none could ultimately dominate. In fact, these states were strong enough to challenge Mughal power, but none was able to replace it with a stable polity at an all India level. The Jagidari crisis intensified as income from agriculture declined and the number of contenders for a share of the surplus multiplied. Though trade, internal and foreign, continued without disruption and even prospered, the rest of the economy stagnated. Socio-economic conditions. India in the 18th century failed to make progress economically, socially, or culturally at an adequate pace. India became a land of contrasts because extreme poverty and extreme luxury existed side by side. The common populace remained impoverished, backward, and oppressed, and lived at the bare subsistence level. The rich and the powerful enjoyed a life of luxury and lavishness. But it is worth noting that the life of the Indian masses was by and large better in the 18th century than it was after 100 years of British rule. Agriculture. So, agriculture was technically backward. It was worked by the hard labor of peasants. But this hard working class seldom got the fruits of their labor, even though the agricultural produce supported the rest of the society. A peasant's own reward was miserably inadequate. They were forced to pay exorbitant amounts to the state, the zamindars, the jagirdars, and the revenue farmers. But this worsened under the British rule. Trade and industry, on account of being self-sufficient in handicrafts and agricultural products, India did not import foreign goods on a large scale. On the other hand, its industrial and agricultural products were in good demand in foreign markets. Hence, its exports were more than its imports. Trade was balanced by import of silver and gold. India was known as the sink of precious metals. Items of import from the Persian Gulf region: pearls, raw silk, wool, dates, dried fruits, and rose water. From Arabia, coffee, gold, drugs, and honey. From China, tea, sugar, porcelain, and silk. From Tibet, gold, musk, and woolen cloth. From Africa, ivory and drugs. From Europe, woolen cloth, copper, iron, and lead and paper. Okay. Views. Mm, okay. These are not much important. Okay. Items of export: cotton textiles, raw silk, silk fabrics, hardware, indigo, saltpeter, opium, rice, wheat, sugar, pepper, and other spices, precious stones, and drugs. Important centers of textile industry: Dhaka, Murshidabad, Patna, Surat, Ahmedabad, Roch, Chanderi, Burhanpur, Jaunpur, Varanasi, Lucknow, Agra, Multan, Lahore, Masulipatanam, Aurangabad, Chikkakol, Visakhapatnam, Bangalore, Coimbatore, Madurai, etc. Kashmir was a center of woolen manufacturers, okay, Kashmir. Shipbuilding industry: Maharashtra, the Andhra region, and Bengal were the leaders in shipbuilding. Indian shipping also flourished in Kerala coast at Calicut and Kollam. The Zamorin of Calicut used the Muslim Kunyali Malakas, who were well known for their seafaring ability, for his navy. Shivaji Bonslay's navy put up a good defense on the west coast against the Portuguese. According to Bipin Chandra, the European companies bought many Indian-made ships for their use. Status of education: the education imparted in the 18th century India was still traditional, which could not match with the rapid developments in the West. The knowledge was confined to literature, law, religion, philosophy, and logic, and excluded the study of physical and natural sciences, technology, and geography. In fact, due to our reliance placed on ancient learning, any original thought got discouraged. Elementary education among the Hindus and Muslims was widespread. Hindu and Muslim elementary schools were known as Pathshalas and Maktabs, respectively. Hindu Pathshalas, Muslim Maktabs. The education was confined to reading, writing, and arithmetic. Children from the lower caste sometimes attended these schools, but female presence was rare. Chaduspadis or tolls, as they were called in Bihar and Bengal, were the centers of higher education. Chaduspadis and tolls. Some of the famous centers of Sanskrit education were Kashi, Varanasi, Tirhut, Mithila, Nadia, and Utkala. Kashi, Tirhut, Nadia, Utkala. Madrasas were the institutions of higher learning for Persian and Arabic, Persian being the court language and learned by the Muslims as well as the Hindus. Asimabad, Patna was a famous center for Persian education. People interested in the study of Quran and Muslim theology had to acquire proficiency in Arabic. Societal setup: many castes, many sects. The society of 18th century India was characterized by traditional outlook and stagnation. Though there existed a certain degree of broad cultural unity, people were divided by caste, religion, region, tribe, language. The family system was primarily patriarchal, and caste was a central feature of the social life of Hindus. Apart from four Varnas, Hindus were divided into numerous subcastes which permanently fixed their place in the social scale, though the choice of profession was mainly determined by caste considerations. Exceptions occurred on a large scale, making caste status quite fluid in some parts of the country. Caste councils and panchayats enforced caste norms and regulations. Even though Islam enjoined social equality on the Muslims, they too were divided by considerations of caste, race, tribe, and status. Religious considerations not only kept the Sunni and Shia nobles apart, but also the Irani, Afghan, Turani, and Hindustani Muslim nobles and officials apart from one another. Sharif Muslims, consisting of nobles, scholars, priests, and army officers, often looked down upon the Ajlaf Muslims or the lower class Muslims in a manner similar to the way of higher caste Hindus treated the lower caste Hindus. Religious conversions occurred and caste proved to be major divisive force and element of disintegration in the 18th century. Okay. View: a Hindu woman can go anywhere alone, even in the most crowded places, and she need never fear the impertinent looks and jokes of the idol launchers, Abbe Du Bois, position of women in society. In the patriarchal family system in India, except in some social groups in Kerala, women possessed little individuality of their own, though there were a few exceptions. While upper class women remained at home, lower class women worked in fields and outside their homes, supplementing the family income. Certain outdated and exploitative social customs and traditions, such as parda, sati, child marriage, and polygamy, did exist, which hindered the progress of women. The plight of the Hindu widow was usually miserable. Evil of dowry was especially widespread in Bengal and Rajputana. Sensitive Indians were often touched by the hard and harsh life of the widows. Raja Savai Jai Singh of Amber and Maratha General Prashuram Babu tried to promote widow remarriage but failed. Menace of slavery. European travelers and administrators who came in the 17th century reported the widespread prevalence of slaves in India. It is believed that some people were compelled to sell their offspring due to economic distress, famines, natural calamities, and extreme poverty. Generally, higher classes of Rajputs, Khatris, and Kayasthas kept women slave for domestic work. However, the status of slaves in India was better than that in Europe. Slaves were usually treated as hereditary servants rather than as menials. Marriage took place among the slaves, and the offspring coming out of such wedlock were considered free citizens. The advent of Europeans heightened the slavery and slave trade in India. European trading companies purchased slaves from the markets of Bengal, Assam, and Bihar and took them to the European and American market. Abyssinian slaves were sold at Surat, Madras, and Calcutta. Surat, Madras, and Calcutta. Okay. Developments in art and architecture and culture. The developments in art, architecture, and culture. The decline of the imperial Mughals forced talented people to seek patronage of newly established state courts like Hyderabad, Lucknow, Jaipur, Murshidabad, Patna, Kashmir, etc. At Lucknow, Asafudullah Asaf ud Dawla built the Bara Imambara in 1784. In the first half of the 18th century, Savai Jai Singh built the Pink City of Jaipur and five astronomical observatories at Delhi, Jaipur, Banaras, Mathura, and Ujjain. Once more, Delhi, Jaipur, Banaras, Mathura, and Ujjain. Okay. He also prepared a set of timetables called Jij Muhammad Shahi. Jij Muhammad Shahi, Savai Jai Singh. Okay, to help the people in the study of astronomy. In the south, in Kerala, Padmanabhapuram Palace, famous for its architecture and mural paintings, was constructed. New schools of painting were born and achieved distinction. The paintings of Rajputana and Kangra schools became prominent and revealed new vitality and taste. A distinct feature of literary life of the 18th century was the growth of Urdu language and poetry. It was the period of Urdu poets like Mir Sauda, Nazir, and Mirza Ghalib, 19th century. In South India, Malayalam literature flourished under the patronage of Travancore rulers. Okay. Kalakattu Kunjan Nambiar was a noted Malayalam poet. The Tamil language was enriched by Sittar poetry. Tayu Manavar, 1706 to 1744, one of the best exponents of Sittar poetry, protested against the abuses of temple rule and the caste system. Heer Ranja, the romantic epic in Punjabi literature, was composed by Waris Shah. Heer Ranja Waris Shah. In Sindhi literature, Shah Abdul Latif composed Rizalo. Shah Abdul Latif Rizalo. Shah Abdul Latif Rizalo. Rizalo by Shah Abdul Latif in Sindhi literature. A collection of poems. These are just some examples of literary works in regional languages. Now we will discuss the summary of this chapter. Why the Mughal Empire declined. Weak successors. The Mughal Empire was a personal despotism and its success depended upon a strong and capable monarch. Next, absence of definite law of succession. Continuous wars of succession. Absence of law of primogeniture fostered partisanship at the cost of patriotism. Aurangzeb's religious and Deccan policies. The religious policy antagonized the Rajputs, Sikhs, Jats, and Marathas. The Deccan policy kept the emperor away from the capital for a long duration. Degeneration of rulers and nobles. Fourth reason is deterioration. Fifth reason is deterioration of army. Okay. Sixth reason is too vast an empire. The vast empire became a difficult task for weak rulers to administer efficiently. Seventh reason is external invasions. Invasions of Irani and Durrani kingdoms, Nadir Shah, Ahmad Shah Abdali, gave a death blow. Eighth reason is economic decline. Endless wars, stagnation in agriculture, and decline in trade and industry emptied the royal treasury. Ninth reason is advent of Europeans. European companies interfered in native politics, hastening the disintegration of empire. Tenth reason is shifting allegiance of zamindars. 11th reason is Jagirdari system. 12th reason is rise of regional aspirations. Rise and establishment of Awadh, Bengal, Hyderabad, Mysore, Kerala, Rajput states, and Jat states accelerated the process of disintegration. Next is rise of regional states. Three categories: successor states, independent states, new states. Successor states are Hyderabad, 1724, Nizamul Mulk; Bengal, 1717, Murshid Quli Khan; and Awadh, 1722, Saadat Khan, Burhanul Mulk. Independent states: Mysore under Hyder Ali, Kerala, King Martanda Varma, and Rajput states, Raja Sawai Singh of Amber. New states: Marathas, Sikhs, Jats, and Afghans. Socio-economic conditions. Agriculture, stagnant and technologically backward agriculture, compensated by very hard labor of peasants. Peasants paid revenues to states, zamindars, jagidars, and revenue farmers. Major produce or crops: rice, wheat, sugar, pepper, spices, cotton, etc. Trade and industry. Trade flourished. Cotton textiles, raw silk, silk fabrics, hardware, indigos, saltpeter, opium, rice, wheat, sugar, pepper, spices, precious stones, and drugs were exported. Gold, musk, woolen cloth, copper, iron, lead, paper, porcelain, pearls, dates, dried fruits, coffee, tea, ivory, rose water, etc. were imported. The textile industry was famous for its produce. The shipbuilding industry flourished. The metal industry was also well developed. Education. Elementary education imparted through pathshalas and maktabs. Chatuspadis or tolls among Hindus and madrasas among Muslims were the institutes of higher learning. Absence of the study of science and technology and geography was a general feature. Society. Apart from the four Varnas, Hindus were divided into many subcastes which differed in their nature from place to place. Muslims were also divided by considerations of caste, race, tribe, and status, even though their religion propagated equality. Art, architecture, and culture. Asaf Ud Dawla in 1784 built Bara Imambara at Lucknow. Sawai Jai Singh built Pink City of Jaipur and five astronomical observatories: Delhi, Jaipur, Mathura, Banaras, and Ujjain. DJMBU. Painting schools of Kangra and Rajputana came into prominence. In northern India, growth of Urdu language and poetry took place. Prominent Urdu poets were Mir, Sauda, Nazir, and Mirza Ghalib. Regional languages developed. Tamil language was enriched by Sittar poetry. So, We have completed the chapter 4. Next video, we will discuss chapter 5, expansion and consolidation of British power in India. Okay, thank you for listening me. We'll see you in next class. Thank you very much.